Hello everyone, my name's Naomi and I work for Unbound in London. I will be your MC for the next 2 days. So, without further ado, I would like to ask you to put your hands together please for Bessie Lee in conversation with Stephen Chang of Tencent. Please make your way up to the stage. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Is my mic working?
No?
No?
Can you hear Bessie?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, should.
Okay, I guess I use this mic. I think you all have our bio, so I won't waste any more time, introducing ourselves. I think I just get straight into the chat. I know Stephen for many, many years, but I think this is the first time that we're on stage having a dialogue, representing different companies. So Tencent's latest biggest success, I think it's a global success, is WeChat. It's a globally known. And I don't know how many of you here use WeChat. And I think probably most of you think that WeChat is just another instant messenger or social media tool. But for anyone who work and live in China, you know that WeChat is way beyond just a social media. So Stephen, can you share with our audience the story behind how Tencent, when you launched WeChat, how Tencent has managed to get WeChat to start off as a social media, but now has gone on to a state where Chinese consumers in China cannot live without?
Right. First of all, can I ask, are you all have WeChat? Oh, no one will say no, right? Yeah, I hope you all have it. WeChat is only about 7 years old, right? However, if we look at it, 7 years ago, it all started because in China at that time, mobile phone or inexpensive mobile phone just start. So that's a question within the company is talking about, can we have our conversation through the mobile phone? Because as you may know, Tencent started with QQ, which is instant messenger, 20 years old, which is PC-based. And therefore, 7 years ago, this question came up. And then we start with basically it's something like a voice SMS, as simple as that, 7 years ago. But now, as you can see, we're not just doing connection, we're doing a lot more. We have the WeChat payment. As you can see from number, we have 600 million daily transaction. And we also have a lot of moments, which is a real social. And then we have a moment advertising, which is a social advertising as well. And then you may have heard about in the last 1 year, we have mini program, which in fact, you can look at it as simple as the app within the app. A lot of people said WeChat is a super app. And by Chinese New Year this year, we have over 1 billion users. And these 1 billion users all over the world, not just are Chinese. We got a lot of Westerners, I believe, including many of you too. And given all these, we are doing a lot more. In fact, there are a lot of Westerners, they know WeChat better than Tencent. But Tencent is the mother company. And WeChat, as you look at these, nowadays, we in fact, only after 7 years, we built a real ecosystem. And we have a lot of technology is originated from WeChat, and then we apply to the others. So, Bessie, you're right. We start with social, very simple idea, and with mobile, and now we are building into a much, much bigger ecosystem.
I remember 20 years ago when Tencent first launched QQ, it was actually quite similar. You started off as an instant messenger, but through offering many, I guess, products and features that the consumers would use on a daily basis, then you build that whole ecosystem. Yeah. So it's actually, 15, 16 years later, Tencent repeat the same story, but this time it's on mobile. It's just fantastic. So those of you who are thinking about entering China, if you are thinking, I've got my own app, and I want to enter China, having a separate app, forget it. You're not going to survive. you want to talk to these guys and see whether you can have a partnership with them.
Well, that's misunderstanding, okay? There are a lot of opportunities in China, and welcome for everyone. Tencent, we in fact, we have an open platform system. We welcome a lot of partners working together. But again, if we look at a very simple history timeline here, 20 years ago, we started the company. Purnima, one of our founders, started the company. And then we start with the product, QQ. And then, as I said, 7 years ago, we have this WeChat. WeChat is for out of China. And then Weixin, the same, which is within China. And then this is mobile-based. However, at the same year, we also have the Tencent Video, which is a Tencent streaming video, which is now very popular in China. And we are #1 streaming video site in China too. Now, starting that year, we also promote the idea, as I just said, open platform. And then very quickly, 2015, you may have heard about we are promoting the idea of Internet Plus. The idea is very similar, using the power of internet and then helping all sorts of industry. And in fact, the government turned this Internet Plus into a national strategy. It becomes almost like an enabler, which help any type of traditional industry to work on the new technology. And again, in 2015, we have this wonderful game, end of 2015, Honor of King, 王者荣耀. This particular mobile game, as you may know, Tencent is the biggest game companies in the world, but this particular game is created locally. And this particular one, it attracts almost like daily user, and we call it DAU, daily average users. It's approximately 80 million. 80 million players, they are playing this mobile game, and 45% of the players are ladies, which is phenomenal. However, everyone is talking about AI. In 2016, we also set up an AI lab in Seattle and in China. And this AI lab has helped driving a lot in terms of technology using AI. And then last year, we have the Milli program. Milli program helps a lot, which is something like the apps within the app, so that you don't need to download the apps, but very user-friendly, and then you can use this Milli program, a lot of enterprise application. And in the beginning of this year, Pony has also turned the enabler idea into digital assistant ideas. So I'm just talking about a few of the landmarks here, but in fact, we are doing a lot of micro innovation throughout the last 20 years.
So like you have heard from Stephen, Tencent is a 20-year-old company. A lot of the 20-year-old company probably no longer exists in the market because they cannot stay relevant and cannot stay innovative. So Stephen, culture-wise, because that's a great timeline you have just shared with the audience. So what Tencent has done at what stage of your development. But culture-wise, Tencent as a company, how do you stay relevant and innovative, especially to the Chinese consumer,
right,
who's very demanding, right?
Well, in the day, Tencent is a Chinese company. We start in China. And what Bessie just asked me about is the culture, is the value, same for any startup 20 years ago. However, if we are talking about moving forward, we have the strategy, we have 2 keywords for the strategies that we are working on nowadays. The first keyword is technology. The second keyword is culture. 2 years ago, Pony used another 2 keywords. The first word is connection. Very simple to understand. We have QQ, we have WeChat, our DNA is social, so we help connecting people to people, people to service, people to device. And then the other keyword 2 years ago is content. Again, very simple to understand too. So we would like to do more. At that time, we are acquiring content, like we work with NBA. We became the exclusive online broadcaster of NBA into China. And then we start to produce our own content. And now the modern terms, 2 keywords are technology. Obviously, there are lots of AI elements in it. There are a lot more different technology, which is the base for everything. We are, in the end of the day, we are the technology company. And the second keyword is on culture. Culture is bigger than content. We are a Chinese company. We are globalizing, particularly through a lot of games and then WeChat usage. In the end of the day, again, culture includes a lot of content. And many of these can be from China, can be from the world, but this content helps to shape the culture, particularly through the internet as well. So technology and culture becomes our key strategy that we focus on.
Okay, so surrounding this technology and culture, I know that after 20 years of development, growing and high speed, you now have 7 business units.
Yes.
Right. Share with the audience, how do you, you as a group, make sure that the 7 units come together and work together? Where is that synergy, build that synergy among the 7 units, instead of just having 7 independent silos? They're not talking to each other, right? Which is very common among a lot of big corporates. So how do you make sure these 7 BUs actually work together and make that whole ecosystem work?
I would like to give you some example. Different business units, when we first start, we don't have business units. It's very small, very focused on the product QQ. And then now we have WeChat, Weixin as one individual business unit. And then we have the SNG, social network group, still holding up a very strong position for QQ, mobile QQ. And then we have different business units. However, for instance, like I mentioned about technology as our key focus on strategy, in terms of the AI, we have 3 business units that focus on AI. We have established the AI lab under one business unit called TEG, which is doing a lot of research, R&D. And then we have another business unit purely working on imaging, Youtu, which is working on facial recognition, this type of imaging technology. And then we have WeChat, working on WeChat AI. So all these, on one hand, they are working to serve for their business unit needs. But on the other hand, we all work together, we all follow the company's strategy. Let me talk about the culture part. As many of you may know that we are in a lot of area in content. We are the biggest game company in the world, so we are in the game industry. Esport is something new coming up 2 years ago. And games industry, if we are talking about IP, this game industry, we can turn it into animation, we can turn it into movie, we can turn it into cartoon, we can do a lot of IP expansion. So we have the games, we have music. QQ Music is #1 music platform in China. We have the online literature, we have the video, we have the Tencent news, and all of these, we are in very strong position. Most of them are #1 position in China. So all of these, if we try to compare with, let's say, Disney, other than Disneyland, we believe we cover most of it, in particular through the internet area. However, you may know that like our mascot, our icon is penguin now. Who never know we may have a penguin land in future. So in fact, we are building these different type of content, which under different business unit, into a content ecosystem as well. So that's why like ecosystem itself is evolving out of the whole ecosystem. By ecosystem, if we look at this chart, if we look at the core part, this is where the users are important, like audience, you are the most important. Users' experience are very important to Tencent. And if we look at the first semicircle, you can see that these are internally, we call these not apps, but products, as I mentioned to you. And then we cover most of the walks of the life. And if we use Internet Plus idea, and then to work, to partner with different industry, it becomes bigger. And the outer semicircle here, we have a lot of partners that we also invest as well. For instance, like Anthony mentioned about Didi, Didi is part of our family as well. JD.com, #2 e-commerce site. We also invest, we also partner with JD. So this circle, this semicircle, or we call it the overall Tencent ecosystem, become bigger. While we are developing this, we in fact, like WeChat, the evolvement becomes a WeChat ecosystem itself. and then the content become a content ecosystem. So this particular ecosystem in China is very unique. And I've talked to a lot of global advertisers, and then they told me that this type of ecosystem, they only see it in China. For instance, in the advertising sense, Google and Facebook, they are very big. But literally, they are almost like what we call a vertical player. So they focus very much in their core area. While in China, like Tencent, as an example, as you can see, we cover a lot. As the last year's Mary Meeker's report, she mentioned that 98% of the Chinese netizens use Tencent products. 60% of the netizen time use Tencent products. So given this ecosystem is very unique, not only for Tencent, but for China.
So as a Chinese consumers, you can see from this slide, we actually have multiple relationships with Tencent as a group. We use their QQ Music to download and listen to music. We got WeChat, like we said, WeChat is more than just social. We do pretty much everything on WeChat today. We watch video on Tencent's online video. We read book on Tencent's 阅文 ecosystem.
Online literature.
Exactly. Yeah. And then this company actually went listed in Hong Kong Stock Exchange not long ago. So we actually have multiple relationship with Tencent Group. I think this group is, they use data quite well because they know our interest level as their consumer. So they're always thinking ahead of us because they can see our, from our multiple engagement with this group, what are we using, where are we going, where are we hanging out? So they can study from that behavior and from that interest level and then to start introducing relevant products and features for us. Then as a consumer, also as a friend and also as a I guess, ally to Tencent, what's the next big thing for Tencent Group?
Well, in fact, everything is present tense so far. A lot of people, they would like to ask Tencent about what's the next 1 year's plan or whatever. We don't even know. But there are lots of work in progress. However, I would like to share with you here, we use the present tense here. It's something like we talk about the technology as one of our key strategy. In Tencent, we have a simple saying called ABC. A is AI, of course. B is big data. Bessie, you mentioned about data is very important. Without this, we can't do all the algorithm. And C is the cloud, Tencent Cloud. We have our Tencent Cloud. Cloud is very important. If you don't have a secure place that can house all these data to allow for calculation, you can't do anything. So here I would like to share with you, we're doing a lot of initiatives. I would like to share with you 3 initiatives here. One is the smart city. Smart city in China, we got 650 major cities in China. And we start actually from Internet Plus, because Internet Plus helps not only different industry, but helps a lot of cities, major cities themselves become more digitized, which helps a lot in terms of handling a lot of public services. So it's very convenient. For instance, you can use the WeChat Pay itself. You can do all the penalty, visa application for the monthly fee or whatever, public utility. So it becomes very convenient, even for hospital that, in China, there are too many people, too many patients. It may take you about to queue up for 4 hours for the doctor, and then you find that that's not the right doctor. It happens many cases in the past. But given this, if you have the chance to come to visit China, now you use WeChat, you can go into the major hospital, and then you can select the right specialist, and then you can even, just like Facebook, you can look at his or her track record, whether they got more froms or whether they have more symbol like this. Then you can tell, you can select which particular doctor that you can see, and then you can make appointment, which is at the right time. So it saves a lot of time. So indeed, it enhances a lot of efficiency from smart cities' point of view. The second one is the smart retail, which we are promoting this. We are working on this WIP project just for the last 3 to 4 months. We, in fact, the idea very simple. We would like to focus on consumers, of course, the users, goods, retail, of course, the goods, and the place. Where does it happen? other than e-commerce, we still have a lot of physical venue. However, these physical venue can be very technology-driven. For instance, like we have been testing with Carrefour supermarket that we work with facial recognition, that you come in, then they know you. You don't even, in some cases, you don't even need to go through the WeChat Pay. You can simply recognize your face, and then when you buy your goods, they basically, when you go out, the payment automatically will come in. So again, it helps a lot. Facial recognition, and then use the WeChat system, like the Miller program, like the scanning the QR code. You can see, you can find more products information. So this smart retail idea, we are working very hard in this. It becomes like a very, very fast engine now in China. And the third one I need to share with you is what we call the medical AI. We've been testing a lot, but one of these, we work with a lot of major hospitals, is on the imaging, on the accuracy of imaging. And now we work with a lot of hospitals, particularly focused on cancer diagnosis. So it speeds up, in few cases, it speeds up 3,000 times in terms of the accurate diagnosis, which helps a lot for the patients. So these are the imaging technology using AI that we're working on. But of course, if you look at the smart city or smart retail, we can also apply similar idea, and then on the hospital, so we can enhance more in terms of other than imaging. There will be more on medical research, much more intelligent guidance, and much more for the hospital itself, just like managing the smart city, the hospital management. So all of this is a very particular industry, healthcare, that we are working on as well. So this is how we apply the technology. And there are more projects going on.
It's amazing. A company 20 years ago started off by offering instant messenger. 20 years later, your Tencent actually can become like our city government. You don't have to answer this because you're a public listed company, so you don't have to comment this. I know a lot of these are for the future, but I know that Tencent actually has applied future technologies today. And you have a very moving and very touching case from last year. Do you want to share with us, and we will close our session with this case?
Thanks, Bessie. I'd really like to share with you with a very short video. This is a Cannes Advertising CyberGo Award-winning community program. It can show you how we apply the AI technology in the social issue. I won't tell you more. Please watch this wonderful video.
Do you realize how much our appearance changes with time? We're often unrecognizable to someone who hasn't seen us in 5, 10, or 20 years. This is particularly relevant in the case of a lost or abducted child, where the years change him or her into someone totally different than the face in the dated photos his family use in their desperate search. But QQ Alert is here to help. Equipped with facial recognition technology based on convolutional neural networks and facial feature extraction, we have conducted billions of trials using a 10 million sample database. Trained by deep learning analysis of the patterns of facial changes, its AI system is able to automatically integrate the traces of time and match a child with the adult he or she grows into with a 99.8% accuracy. Now, changes are no longer challenges. No matter how long your child's been missing, simply upload his or her photos to our cloud. QQ Alert is able to process a huge database at a rate of 50 million photos per second, instantly presenting results that can bring the lost child home. So far, QQ Alert has facilitated 286 rescues, reuniting 176 families. Technology is changing the world and helping that which was lost to be found. Though we cannot stop time, with ever-advancing technology, we can shorten the time it takes to bring the lost home. QQ Alert. Hope never dies.
This is how technology will change people's lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you.